Okay, so again, welcome to Q2, week 1 of General Mathematics. And for this week, the first module deals on the simple and compound interests. Maybe some of you are familiar with simple interest and compound interest, but if you can, actually you can hear that with real life situations, real life applications with your parents, if they want to invest on something, if you have money on the bank, in a bank, yan. So they usually apply interests. Ano po? Okay. So with this first module, you're expected to illustrate simple and compound interests and distinguish between simple and compound interests. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa? Siyempre, from the word itself, simple. So, siguro kung ilalapat natin sa English, ito yung mga singular words, di ba? And then when it comes to compound interest, these are the plural form. Okay, so from simple, another simple na napadagdag, then we have there the compound interests. Okay, and so let's have first the learning task number 1. So this is already in your module, but I was able to get 5 items, I think, okay, for learning task number 1. So with the question, what interest remains constant throughout the investment term? So anybody here who wants to guess which one is the correct answer from the options given? You may raise your hand if you want. Okay, Princess. Hi, Princess. So what's your answer, Princess?
Hi po, ma'am. Letter A po.
Okay.
Simple po.
Yeah, very good, Princess. Thank you for that. That's correct. Ano? So anything that remains constant within an investment term, that's a simple interest. So kahit pag-gaano ka katagal, pagka ang pinag-uusapan ay simple interest, hindi yan mababago. Constant siya throughout the term. Okay? So thank you, Princess. So how about this one? Anyone who wants to make a wild guess? So it is an interest compound based on the principal amount. Yes, Judel.
Compound po, ma'am. Letter B po.
Okay, letter B. Kaya lang ang sagot ni... Ay, okay. Okay, that's... sorry, compound. You have there your clue word. Interest compound based on the principal amount. Dapat may kasunod pa nga yan. And the succeeding amount. Okay, so it's compound. Thank you for that, Judel. Okay, let's have question number 3. Ayan. Actually, this one is the second objective, diba? You have to distinguish what's the difference between simple and compound interests. So basically, which one do you think is the correct answer here? Anyone? Lance, you want to make a wild guess?
Ma'am, letter C po. Simple interest is always better than compound interest po.
And yeah, that's true. Diba? Simple interest is always better than the compound interest in the case of the borrower. Okay? Pero with this one, the correct answer is actually simple interest is computed based on the principal and also on the accumulated past interest. Okay? Okay. Bakit ko sinabi itong letter C na tama yan in the case of borrower? Kasi we have two cases, diba? The borrower and the, how do you call that?
Lender po.
The lender. Okay? The debtor, diba? You'll encounter those terms. Ano po? So if you are the the borrower, or di ba the lenders the same, yung nanghihiram, kapag ikaw yung nanghihiram ng something, simple interest will always be better than the compound interest. But if you are, ayun, the investor, yan, if you're the investor, ikaw yung nagpapalabas ng pera, it's always to have the compound interest na better than the simple interest. Okay po. So mamaya makikita natin bakit. Okay?
Ma'am,
Let's have question number 4. So if you would like to invest money, which bank offer would you prefer if you do not plan to withdraw your money in 2 years? Is it 5% simple interest? Parang meron nito sa ano? Yes, Shello. Parang meron nito sa ano?
Letter
sa
A
quiz.
po, ma'am.
So it's letter A. So kung ikaw mag-i-invest, per annum naman ang computation niyan. Diba? So malaki din. So pwede nyo naman gawin yon ng parang start with 1,000, di ba? Per year magkano yung may-yield niyan. But actually, if you think of the interests na binibigay ng mga bank, ang liit niya. Maliit siya, pero talking about the safety of your money, it would be safer to invest that or to deposit that on a bank. other than anything else. Okay. Then let's have the last question. Okay, which of the following statement is true about the borrower or the debtor? O, sa case ng mangungutang. So, alin daw ang mas ipe-prefer ninyo? Sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, so laging dapat kayo ay sa simple interest na computation. So, letter C is the correct one. Okay? It refers to the person who owns the money, who owes the money. So, siya yung may utang, di ba? Borrower. So, those are actually some of the terms that we will encounter as we go along with the discussion of the first module. Okay? So, for the learning task number 2, what am I? So, these are some of the terms. Okay po? Yan. So, nandun din ito sa inyong module. Ano po? Yan. So, pag sinabing I am the blank, which is calculated by multiplying the principal, the rate of interest, and the time in years, of course, it's the simple interest. Okay? I am the blank, and simple interest is computed based on me and the time in years. Okay? So, anong nawawala? So, it's the principal. Ang tamang sagot natin for number 2. Then, number 3, number 3, I am the blank. Usually, I am in percent. So, kung percent siya, it's the interest rate or the rate. Okay? Yan. Siya yung may mga percentage symbol sa problem natin. Automatic yun na po yung rate natin. Next, I am the blank and I am the length of time. So, yun na yung term na sinasabi natin. Okay? So, yun yung, yan. So, yun yung mga sinasabi ko kanina. So, the simple interest in symbol is I sub S. Okay, so pag nakita ninyo yung I sub S, that is simple interest, which is defined as the interest that is computed on the principal. Okay, so it's always from the principal and it is constant throughout the term. Okay, so we have there the lender, the creditor, the borrower, and the compound interest. So we have I sub C for compound interest. And then if we have the lender, ayan, ito, lender or creditor, yan, siya yung nagpapalabas. Okay, the investor, it's the same person ang tinutukoy natin. But if we have the borrower, the debtor, yan. So yan yung mga bumubuhay sa mga lender. Okay? Then we also have the repayment date or maturity date. Okay? So that's the amount of money to be paid after a certain period of time. Okay? Then we have the time or term, the principal, okay? The original amount borrowed actually yung principal natin, and then the rate. So you have to be familiar with the different symbols used for these terms because we will use this in the different formulas in the computation of simple and compound interests. Okay, then we have the I, which is the interest, the maturity value or future value, which is denoted by F, then the origin or the loan date. Yeah. So this is the first formula that you have to remember, which is the very simple formula. Okay? Under business math, which is I sub S equals PRT, where I sub S is the simple interest, P is the principal, R is the rate of interest or just the rate, and T is the term or the time in years. So it's always in terms of years, ha? So just in case in your problem, the given time is in months, so you need to convert that into years. So you know already that 1 year consists of 12 months. Okay po. So it can be 1.5, 1, it can be a whole number or a rational number in general. So basically, these are the steps in the computation of simple interest. First, you need to identify what are given in the problem. And then secondly, you'll have to substitute from the given formula. As simple as that, diba? Okay, so I have here a sample problem which is related to what we are experiencing right now. So due to COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Dada, a female resident of Barangay May Pagkakaisa, somewhere in Quezon Province, thinks of a business that can provide for her needs as well as the need of her neighbors, so she can be of help in this trying time. Having no money at hand, she decided to borrow from a bank as the startup capital of 50,000 pesos at 7% simple interest rate, so payable within 5 years. Compute for the interest yield. So in this problem, ayan po, it's very clear that it is given in simple interest. Ano po? Yan. So from this table, pinakita po, yan, kung magkano yung may yield niya for the 50,000 na pinarrow niya from the bank. So during the first year po, yung 50,000 niya at 7% simple interest, So, ang maging interest po niya is 3.5. So, meaning, kung babayaran niya after the first year pa lang, it will be 53,500 ang ibabayad niya. Ano po? During the second year, from the principal pa rin, the time now becomes 2 kasi after 2 years. So, ang babayaran naman niya will be 57,000 na. So, merong na-incur na 7,000 interest. Okay? So, ito po yung pinapakita nung interest nung hiniram niya sa bangko after 5 years na kanyang dinicide na bayaran. So, after 5 years, a total of 67,500 ang kailangan niyang bayaran sa bangko. Okay po? So, without having this table, using the formula natin, diba? Sa formula natin, I sub S equals PRT. The principal is the 50,000 pesos times the rate. What's the rate? 7%. You need to convert that to decimals, diba? By moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. And then the time, which is 5. Yan. So, ito yung pinakamadali. Diba? So, pag minultiply natin yan, same lang nang lalabas that the total amount of money to be paid is 67,500 pesos. So, ito lang naman pinakita dun sa table natin. Diba? Diba mga anak?
Opo.
Yan. Thank you. So, ganun lang po yung paggamit ng formula natin. Kung ayaw ninyo ipakita by means of table, so with the use of the formula, you'll be able to arrive at the same answer, which is 67,500 pesos. Any question with regards to the first problem? With the first example on simple interest?
None po.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's proceed with the second example. Okay, so this time, looking at the table and reading the problem, obviously, this is an example of a compound interest. Okay, ayan na po, compounded annually. Okay, so sabi nga natin sa compounded annually, the compound interest, it's an interest from the principal and the succeeding, ano po, yung mga succeeding accumulated amount. So look at this one. Kapag ito, yung magiging condition sa bank na hiniraman nyo ng pera ay medyo, ang tawag natin, dehado kayo. Ibig sabihin, malaki kasi yung may yield na interest if it will be compounded annually. Look at the table, di ba? So during the first year, your 50,000 will incur 3,500 interest. So same with the simple interest. But then during the second year and the succeeding years, so look at the principal now, di ba? The principal plus the accumulated interest na po ang nangyayari kapag compounded annually. So instead of having 50,000 here, it becomes 53,500 because of the additional interest during the first year. And then during the second year, yung interest na meron na which is 3,745 will be added na naman dun sa 53,500 and not on the principal. Kaya sa second year, ang pagbabayaran nyo na is 57,245. And at the end of the 5 years, so look at the difference. Kapag sa compounded annually, it will be 70,127.57, while dun sa simple interest natin kanina, it's just 67,500. So a matter of 3,000 plus, di ba? Yung difference nila. Ay, sayang pa din. Kaya ito yung sinasabi ko kanina sa inyo that if you will put your shoes in the shoes of the borrower, it's always better to have simple interest rather than compound interest. Okay po? Yan. So yun po yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa. But then, ano naman yung formula pwede natin gamitin when it comes to compound interest? Okay? Okay. So this one is the future value. Unlike kanina, do sa computation natin ng tama ba yung sa interest ko? Mali ako doon kanina no sa computation ko, Nico, Lance. Anybody?
Ang nilagay
Dun
niyo
po
po,
sa
ma'am, ay
simple
yung
po.
maturity value po.
Opo,
And this po yung
Ayan.
maturity
interest.
lang.
Ayan, sabi
Dapat
ko na nga. Okay, yung kanina
17,500.
na-compute natin, it should be, do sa I sub S, di ba? It should be 17,500 lang muna. Tama ba?
Opo,
Opo,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Ayan, 50,000 times 0.07 times 5 is 17,500 plus the principal, which is 50,000. That's why the payable amount or the maturity value is 67,500. Ba't di kayo nag-react kanina?
Ma'am,
Wala
kala po namin idiniretso nyo na po. Dun
Okay.
sa
Yung,
maturity
Ma'am,
yung
value.
added na yung principal. Ayan. Yan. So ito naman yung future value natin for the compound interest. Ito yung formula natin. So 'di ba from that problem, so kung ilalagay natin siya, okay, following the formula, the principal is 50,000 times 1 plus the rate, which is 0.7, tama ba? Times 5. Yan. So you can use your calculator. Gamit na gamit ngayon ang calculator ha sa second quarter. Ayan. O, so may mga calculator. 1.07 raised to the 5th power. Tama ba? Times the 50,000 pesos. Ayan. Pareha sila ng lumabas, ano?
Yes po.
Ayan. 70,000 something. Ilan nga yun, Miko?
70,127.59. 58,654 nakarang.
Okay, rounded. So remember when we talk of money ha, dapat hanggang 2 decimal places lang siya. Okay po? So it's the same. So if you don't want to use yung table natin or ipakita siya yearly, so you can use this formula for the future value of compound interest. Okay? Is that clear mga anak?
Yes
Yes
po.
po.
Yan. So very simple ano. Yan. So that's all for week 1 and now we'll proceed with week 2. But before that, let's try to answer these statements. Okay? So kindly raise your hand if you know the answer or if you want to. Ayan, Lance, sige, for number 1, sumagot, nagtaas ka na kaagad ng kamay. What's your answer? Is it true or false?
False po, ma'am. Hindi
Ayan,
po siya
diba?
nag-change.
Yan. So it's false kasi it's constant. The word changes here is incorrect for this statement. So remember kanina yung ating definition of simple interest. How about the second one? May dalawang nagtaas pero hindi ko na makita kung sino sa kanila. Okay, Joyce. For number 2, Joyce.
True po.
Yes, Joyce.
True po, ma'am.
Okay, so that's true. It's always based on the original amount. Okay. About number 3. Yes po, Willard.
False po.
False. Ano daw yun? Ano yung amount of money? That's the, ano dapat ito? The principal. Diba? The amount of borrowed money. The original. Okay? Let's have number 4. Calvin. Parente.
True po.
Oh, that's true. That's actually the formula, di ba? Ng simple interest. Okay, let's have number 5. Other hands, please. Can I hear the voice of Aldrich, Eva? Aldrich, anak. O, sige, Arian. Arian Antaran.
False.
It's false because when we talk of ordinary interest, it is always based on 360 days lang. Yun po yung tandaan ha. Pag ordinary interest, siya ay for 360 days only. Okay. Let's have number 6. Nandun ito sa module, hindi ko na siya masyadong diniscuss ngayon. Ang pinagtuunan ko lang ng pansin ay yung formula for simple and compound interest. So what's this permadebt? Okay, so it's true ha. It decreases the amount of money available on hand to spend in the future. Then for number 7, so anong guess ninyo? Compound interest works well if you save early for retirement or invest yearly, early. That's true. Diba? Kung ikaw yung investor, pag compound interest, that's better for you. Okay? For number 8, yes, sorry Calvin, napindot ko na ha. Calvin, for number 9 ka na lang ha. For number 8 is false. So remember that if you will borrow the money in a longer period of time, you will incur higher interest, or you will pay higher interest. Okay? Calvin, for number 9, anak?
Wala lang po. True.
Sige, anak. Anong hula mo? Is it true or false?
True po.
True. If borrowers pay at least the minimum payment every month of their debt, their credit standing is not good. Kasi sa case ng credit card, if you are familiar or syempre, in your case, you're still students, ano po. So, kung nakakarinig kayo sa parents ninyo, kapag ka kasi credit card and you will just pay the minimum amount every month, you will not be a good creditor, or your credit standing will not be that good na nagbabayad ng nag-exceed. Ano po? Pero good siya in the case ng nababayaran mo. Kaya lang, sa case ng credit card kasi, kapag maliit lang yung binabayaran mo, kung hindi mo napapansin yung interest niyan, ang laki. Kaya as much as possible, wag magbe-base dun sa minimum amount. If you can pay higher than the minimum amount na nakalagay sa inyong bill, kailangan bayaran yon. Para kasi dapat yung credit standing maganda para yung what do you call that? Yung credit limit tumaas. Yun, ganun siya credit card. But sa credit card, it's not advisable. Ano po? So, siguro for emergency cases, maganda ang credit card. Pero kung yung monthly expenses ninyo like groceries, ganyan, hindi maganda. Okay? And then lastly, if you're planning to invest compound interest, yes, Hana. Si Hana ba yung nagtaas na kamay? Okay, go
True po,
Hana.
ma'am.
Yes, anak?
True po.
Okay, so that's correct. Yan yung lagi yung pipiliin ha kapag kayong investor sa compound interest kayo lagi. Okay? So, for week 1, ito po yung inyong learning task. Anak Miko, pa-screenshot. Parang wala si Hubert. Pumasok ba si Hubert?
Hello po.
Pa-screenshot anak ha. At isesend natin sa GC para mas, mas madali nang makita. So this one is the first output for this week. And then this is the second one, the learning task 4 for module 1. So yan po yung unang dalawa. Okay? Sino nataas ng kamay? Lance? Hana?
Ma'am, tanong lang po dun sa yung sa learning task 3 po. Di ba sabi po sa WHLP, show your solution po. Yung solution po ba na tinutukoy is ito na pong nasa table po?
Ito po siya. Let's say for example, di ba you have to fill up this table? Ilalagay ninyo yung sagot dito, pero kailangan meron ako makikita dito sa ilalim na mga solusyon ninyo. Ano po? So lahat ng i-fill out ninyo dito, lahat ng ilalagay na sagot, okay? Pagkasulat dyan, sa ilalim, nandun lahat ang computation ninyo. Kung ano man yung hinanap. So sa case ng sa number 1, ang hinanap ay yung maturity value. This is simple, compound interest pala siya, di ba? So compound interest, pag kinompute po ninyo ito, may ilalagay ninyo yung sagot, then ilalagay ninyo yung maturity value. Okay? Ang maturity value naman is after 5 years. So this is just for 1 year. Okay? So yung maturity value, di ba may formula tayo kanina, yung future value na F equals P times the quantity 1 plus R raised to T. So sa pamamagitan po ng formula lang yun, ipapakita ninyo sa solution dito, and then yung naging sagot ninyo doon, yun ang ilalagay ninyo dito sa table. Nagkakaintindihan po?
Opo, ma'am. Malinaw na po.
Yan.
Thank you po.
Okay. So sa learning task number 4 naman, ito lang yung mga words na binigyan natin kanina ng definition. Okay po? So let's have the topics for week 2. Ayan. Nasa week 2 na agad tayo ha. So the first module for week 2 is all about interest, maturity, future, and present values in simple and compound interest. Ay, sorry for this. Yan, typo. Yung solving problems po ay nasa last natin, module 3. That's module 3. Okay? So with the second module, you're expected to compute the interest, maturity value, future value, and present value for both simple and compound interest. And then derive the formula for simple and compound interest to compute the maturity, future, and present value. And then solve problems involving simple and compound interest. Parang ito ay part na nung last module. Apply the different formulas involved in simple and compound interest environment in problem solving. Okay. So first, we need to recall the formula again of what we had a while ago from the simple interest, that is I sub S equals PRT. Okay. Actually, from this formula, we can derive 3 more formulas. Diba? What will be your formula if the problem asks for the principal amount? Anybody? Yes, Princess?
Ma'am, tayo lang po.
Sige po, anak.
P is equal to IS over R.
Good try, Princess. Yeah. Nawala. Yan. So tama po yun, that if you will be asked to find the principal, then your formula will be I sub S, or the interest or the simple interest over RT. Okay po. So sa case po natin, paano natin siya na-derive dun sa original formula? So kailangan lang natin mapag-solo si P, di ba? So we need to remove RT, and RT is the quantities to be divided on both sides of the equation. So i-divide mo ito ng RT, divide mo yung kabila ng RT, makakancel na yung RT dito, matitira lang ay si P. So sa kabilang side, ito na po siya. Okay po? Okay, how about if you'll be asked to find the rate? Ano yung tumaas kanina? Ano naman yung magiging formula natin sa rate, mga anak? Yes, Francine? Francine? Melvin? Ano daw ang chat? Ano, wala si Mike? Sige, si Melvin na lang.
R equals IS or simple interest over PT po.
Okay. So the rate will now be equal to IS over PT. Okay? The last one, how about if you'll be asked to find the time? Any other hands?
Ma'am.
Uriel?
Time equals simple interest over PR po.
Yan. Yan. So, ibig sabihin, thank you. Mula dun sa formula natin ng simple interest, meron pa tayong 3 formulas na pwede natin gamitin just in case na hindi yung simple interest ang tinatanong. Di ba? So, it's case-to-case basis again for the
Ma'am,
different
excuse me
processes.
po.
Sige, anak.
Ma'am, may typo po yung formula
Okay.
po ng sa
Ayan.
time.
So, typo po siya. Salamat. So, this should be R and not T. Yeah. Thank you. So, for the time, it should be IS over PR. Pero tama naman yung sinabi ni Uriel, ano, mali lang yung pagkakatype ko. Ayan. So, ito po yung kailangan nyo tandaan sa simple interest na problems natin, ha? So, it's not always that the simple interest is being asked in a problem. There are cases that the principal, the rate, or even the time are unknown in a problem. Okay? And so, let's try, ayan, ito pa pala, additional. To find the maturity value in simple interest, this one is our formula. Yan. Ito is a simple interest, ha, iba yung sa compound natin kanina. Okay, so you know, it's either this one, so kapag given yung rate at saka yung time, pwede nyo, ito po yung pwede nyo gamitin. Pero kung sa problem at given ay yung principal and the simple interest, so just add the principal and the simple interest amount and you will get the future value of that. Okay po? So maalin dun sa dalawa, ha, ang pwede. And then again, from this formula, pwede pa tayo makaderive din. Okay? Kung magdi-derive tayo, let's say for example, from this future value, mula dito, ano yung maging formula natin if you'll be asked to find the principal? Anyone? Kung principal naman siya, given ang future value, it will be equal to principal equals the future value over 1 plus RT. Tama? Yan. Kapag R naman ang tinatanong, anong maging formula natin for R? R will be equal to F over P. Tama ba? P plus, divide both sides by P, and then maging FT. Tama ba ako? Tulungan nyo nga ako pag-derive. I'll get my ball pen lang. Maging FT ano?
Opo.
Ma'am, bali po, maging
F over PT?
Yes po. Minus 1 over T po equals R.
Ulit?
Ma'am, bali po, F over PT po. Minus 1 over T po.
Minus 1 over?
T po.
Wait lang ah.
Oh.
F over P minus 1. Ita-transpose yung 1, di ba? Matitira sa kabilang side is yung RT divided by T. So divide both sides. Ano pala? By 1 over T. Okay. Okidoki. Yan. So yan yung maging formula natin for R. Pag T naman siya, we'll have T equals F over P. F over PR ano? Minus 1 over R. Tama, tama. Tama? Same case with R, ano, mga anak. Yan. So, dapat you know how to derive a formula ha, from a given formula. Yan. May question po doon? If none, let's proceed with the sample problem. Okay, so given the principal amount, which is 18,500, the rate, which is 3,000, and then the time, which is 5. Find the simple interest. So kapag walang binabanggit na klase ng interest, automatic, it's simple interest ha. So with this one, substituting that from our formula, then the interest or the simple interest will be 2,775. Okay, since yun lang naman yung tinatanong, the simple interest. Okay, but with the second one, given 20,000 pesos, the simple interest, which is 4,000, and then the time, find the rate. So si R ang nawawala naman natin. So ano yung formula na ginagamit natin for R? So that is R equals IS over PT. Substituting those values in our formula, then you'll get that the rate is 0.05. Then converting that to percent, that's equivalent to 5%. Ano po? Tama ba? No violent reaction. Let's proceed now with the formulas for compound interest. So this one naman is the maturity value. So I have presented this one na during the discussion of module 1. Ano po? So you know what a P, an R, and a T is. Okay? Then syempre, yan, the compound interest will be I sub C equals the principal amount, the future value minus the principal amount. So yun na po yung nakuhang interest niya. Okay, ano naman ito? And then for the present value of the maturity value, the present value of the maturity value F in T years, then we have this formula. Okay, P equals F over the quantity 1 plus R raised to the T power. Okay, dinerive lang natin siya kanina, di ba? Okay, let's have this example. So it's almost the same nung kaninang example natin, pero ito, sinabi that the rate is 3% and it's compounded annually. Ano po? For 3 years. So pinapahanap sa atin yung future value and the compound interest. So the future value formula is F equals P times 1 plus R raised to T. So substitute na natin yung mga values natin. Therefore, the future value is 20,215.45. So meaning after 3 years, yung 18,500 na nahiram mo, ang babayaran mo na is 20,215.45. And for you to compute the interest, okay, incurred by the original or the principal amount, just subtract the future value and the principal value and you'll get 1,715.45 as the compound interest of the original 18,500. Okay po? So, ganun lang po yun ha. May gusto magtanong? That's why sabi ko sa inyo kanina, kailangan nyo ng, ang tawag natin dito, calculator na talaga. Kasi there are cases na it's more than 10 pa yung nagiging time natin dito. Okay? So, ganun lang kasimple kapag compounded annually. But of course, there are problems that requires to have compounding more than once a year. Yung bang, halimbawa, ay compounded annually in 4 years. So, ibig sabihin, sa first year, compounded annually na siya. The second year, from the compounded amount, mako-compound pa siya ulit. Ano po? So, if that will be the case, iba yung magiging computation natin. And you need to know these terms, okay? So we have the frequency of conversion, which is the M, denoted by the M, conversion or interest period, the time between successive conversions. Ito yung mga sinasabi ng compounded semi-annually or compounded quarterly, yan. And then you need to compute for the total number of conversion periods, which is denoted by N, and can be computed by multiplying the M and the T. Ito pong dalawa, yan. And then the nominal rate, which is denoted by I raised to M, is actually the annual rate of interest. And the rate of interest for each conversion period is denoted by J, which is given by the formula I raised to M over M, or the annual rate of interest divided by the frequency of conversion, kung gaano kadalas. Ano po? So ibang case po ito ha, kapag compounded more than once a year. Okay. Tingnan natin itong table na to. So these are the different situations that you may encounter with the different problems for compounded more than once a year. So pag sinabing 2% compounded annually for 3 years, so annually every year, ano po? So during the first year, so ito po yung magiging computation natin. So yung I natin will be this one. So given na siya. And then yung magiging rate of conversion natin, so 0.02 divided by 1 is 0.02. Okay? Kapag naman siya ay naging 2% compounded semi-annually, when we say semi-annually, sa isang taon, 2 beses siyang mag-i-interest. Ano po? So our conversion period is M, kasi semi-annually nga eh, twice a year. So yung magiging N ninyo, the total conversion period will be 6. Kasi for 3 years, 2 sa unang taon, another 2 for second year, and another 2 for the third year, a total of 6 conversion periods. Okay? Maliwanag po yun. And the rate of conversion is 0.02 pa rin because of the 2%. But the rate of conversion, since it's semi-annually, will be computed by 0.02 divided by 2. So ito yung I sub M natin, and then the M natin is 2 kasi nga semi-annually. So yung gagamitin yung J is 0.01. Kapag naman siya compounded quarterly, 4 times. Diba? Quarterly na siya. Yan. So your M will be 4 and then the time pa rin is 3 years. So yung total conversion ninyo will be 4 times 3. So itong dalawa, the formula MT, that's equal to 12. Okay? So yung I raised to the 4th power, yan, still 0.02, but then the J will be natin J. Kapag naman compounded annually, ayan po siya, 12. Ayan. Kapag compounded daily, so remember kapag compound interest, it's computed for 365 days. Ano po? Ayan. So ito yung magiging J naman natin. Nasusundan mga bata? Ayan. Let's try this problem. Okay. Formula pa pala mula. Sorry. Ayan. So kung matatandaan ninyo kapag simple na compound interest problem lang, yung formula natin is I plus R raised to T. Di ba? Yan. So, ito, naging ganito na. So, remember the J. Paano kinukuha si J? Yan. So, gagamitin nyo to. And then, the N natin will be empty. Yan. And then to find the present value, it will be P equals F over I plus J raised to N. Okay po. Tingnan natin itong problem na to. Given the 50,000 pesos as the principal amount, I sub 4, which is 0.03, M equals 4, and T equals 4, find F and IC. Okay? Ano yung formula ulit natin kanina? So from the formula, F equals P times 1 plus J raised to N. Tama, no mga anak? Yan. So basically, from the given, ang wala natin ay J at saka si N. Ano po? So we need to compute first for the N and the J. So para ma-compute si N, ano yung formula ulit natin? N equals MT. Substitute natin. What's the value of our M? 4. The value of our T is 4 din. Tama mga anak?
Yes po.
Yan. So our value of N is 16. Okay? Then for the J, it will be equal to I raised to M, which is 0.03 divided by our M, which is 4. Ilan mga anak? 0.03 divided by 4. Ang layo ng aking scientific calculator. .0075, tama? Yan.
Tama.
Yan. Thank you. Pag na-compute mo na yan, substitute na lang natin from the formula to find the F. F equals our P, which is 50,000 pesos, times 1 plus the J, 0.0075, raised to the N power, which is 16. Ayan, kailangan ko na talaga ng scientific dito. May katabi kayo diyang scientific calculator? Paki-compute nga po sa may mga scientific calculator.
Ma'am, ano pa? 56,349.61.
Did you get the same answer, mga anak? Same as Miko's answer? Ayan. Do not forget to place the peso sign, ha? Ito lang, hindi ako makapag-insert ng peso sign. That's why I use the PHP. Okay? Since ang tinutukoy natin ay pera. Okay po? So, ganun lang kadali. So, we have found already the F or the future value. How about the I sub C? Ano yung formula natin? I sub C equals F minus P. Substitute po natin. Our F is 56,349.61 minus 50,000. So what's the answer? How much is the interest, the compound interest?
6,349.61.
Tama mga anak? Dali lang ano?
Apo.
Yan. So ganun lang siya kadali. Kapag hindi given si J, si N, kailangan pa i-compute. Okay, may mga cases naman na given na si J at saka si N. So no need to compute if that will be the case. Question for this problem? Clear, mga anak? Sabihin, clear yun.
Yes,
Kasi walang, yan. Salamat. Okay, and so, let's have the last module. Solving problems involving compound interest. Siyempre, kailangan ninyong gamitin yung mga formulang pinag-aralan na or nadaanan natin kanina. Diba? Yan. So like this one, for the compound interest, then yung mga formula natin, compounded annually lang siya. Pero pagka compounded more than once a year, ito naman yung mga nagiging formula natin. Yan. So malinaw to Okay. So in solving problems like that, let's try to make use of George Polya's 4-step rule. Ano yung 4-step rule niya? Sabi, the first step is to understand the problem. And how are you going to understand that? By, syempre, reading and thinking what is being asked in the problem. Then after understanding the problem, you need to plan your strategy. Anong pwede kong gawin? Can I use yung manual computation or through table or by using a formula? Okay? And if it will be formula, anong formula ang pwede kong gamitin? And then the third step is to do, meaning you have to act. So ano yung action ninyo, ano yung formula, i-substitute kung ano yung mga given. And lastly, you need to check. Diba? Para to ensure that you arrived at the same answer. So let's have this one. First problem, Jasmine borrowed money from a bank at the rate of 1.89% compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually so 2 beses. If the amount she borrowed is 13,000 pesos, how much interest will she need to pay at the end of 6 years? So following George Polya's 4-step rule, understanding the problem, sa problem ang sabi, the principal amount is 13,000. The I squared is 0.0189. Bakit naging I squared siya? Because our M is 2, semi-annually. Ano? Ayan. So, from 1.89, minove natin yung decimal point ng 2 places to the left, kaya po siya naging ganyang decimal. And then the M natin is 2 because again of the semi-annually word. And then the time is 6 years. Okay? So, ang tinatanong, how much interest? So, ibig sabihin, si I sub C ang nawawala. Okay? So, i-plan natin. So, before finding the I sub C, syempre, kasi sa formula natin, ng I sub C, it's F minus P, and we don't have yet the value of our future value. So, ibig sabihin, gagamitin pa rin natin yung future value formula natin, which is this one. But before doing that, kailangan muna natin, ito nilagay ko dito mismo, hindi ko muna kinompute yung J, pero sinubstitute ko na lang siya, yung I sub M over M, and then yung T natin na MT. Sorry for this, it should be N, hindi ba? Hindi siya dapat T. Baka malito kayo ha, ito ay dapat ay N, not T. Yan. O di ba yung J natin is I sub M, ito yung I sub M natin, or yung I squared, and then yung M natin is 2. Yan. Tapos ito yung N, ito yung M, ito yung T. Okay? And MT, the product of MT is our N. So pag kinompute na natin, the future value will be 14,553.29 pesos. Okay po? Tama ba? Tama mga anak? You have to be very careful mga anak ha. Pag nagsosolve kayo nito, kung masyadong mahaba yung decimals at gusto nyong isulat, make sure that it is consist of 5 to 7 decimal places para ma-ensure ninyo that you'll get an approximate answer na nearer dun sa value na tama. Okay po. If not naman, and you have a calculator, pwede nyo nang idiretso. Now, once you have raised the 1.00945 to the 12th power, multiply nyo na kaagad kay 13,000 para makuha yung future value. Huwag muna mag-round off. Ano po? Kasi malaki yung magiging difference kapag kayo nag-round off agad. Okay mga anak? Yan. And therefore, for the last step, which is finding the interest, the compound interest, so syempre nakuha natin future value natin, ima-minus natin sa principal amount. Therefore, the interest, the compound interest is 1,553.29. And for us to check, yan, kailangan balikan ninyo na after you have found the future value and the, okay, baka malito kayo dito mga anak ha, ito yung another option if you don't want to use the J and the N. Ayan. Pero para hindi kayo malito, let's just stick to what I have discussed. Ayan, hindi ko lang nabago. This is the J and then this is the N. Ayan. Ano po? Ayan. So lumabas nung ginamit natin yung mga na-compute natin na 14,553 ay bumalik do sa principal amount na 13,000. So kapag ganon, ibig sabihin, your solution is correct. If not, Ayan. Baka medyo may mali, may konting mali dun sa naging computation ninyo. Okay po tayo doon sa 4-step rule ni Polya. Kaya pang ma-absorb. Kayang-kaya pa syempre, di ba? No? Ayan, ayaw na. Okay. So for your next learning task, ayan, ito na po yun. Second output ninyo, third output for this week is learning task number 3 for modules 2 and 3. Ayan. Solve the following problems on compound interest. So make use of George Polya's 4-step rule ha. So ibig sabihin, kailangan nyo ipakita yung understand, anong kasunod? Plan, do, and check for these 2 problems. Nagkakaintindihan? Maliwanag ba mga anak?
Yes po.
Yan. And then the last task, yan, is the synthesis journal. You need to, with all the topics that I have discussed, ano yun, ilalagay ninyo, or you can recall your past experiences where you can relate what we have discussed for this week. So what I did, what I learned, and how I can use it in the future. Okay po? May tanong? May tanong o wala? That's all for this week. And I just want to leave this message that in every work, it needs interest if you want to do it. If not, edi wala. Pero in your case, no choice kayo, but you have to put your interest in everything that you have to do, in everything that you have to accomplish in all your subjects. Ano po? So 5 subjects kayo for this week. A minimum of 2 per week. 4 pala. A minimum of 4 for every week na 4 weeks na discussion natin. Okay po? So that's all for this week. That's all for today.